Hello again, it's Noob, and yes, we got a brand new lockpick set from Lock Tools. This is the Ronin Pro set. It's actually a set of lockpicks made out of 0.4mm, 15 thousandths of an inch stainless steel. This is 301 high yield stainless steel, and clearly a thin set of picks like this are designed for those really tight high security keyways. Full disclosure before I carry on, Lock Tools did send me this kit for my review, but I'm not paid to do the review and all thoughts are my own. Right, let's crack on. So yeah, this is a 24 piece pick set in that 301 high yield stainless. I've actually used some offcuts of Lock Tools stainless steel to make my own picks. I know a lot of you out there have, and I think you'll agree with me, it's hard stuff. But at 15 thousandths, no matter what it's made of, this is going to, obviously be something you need to take some care of. It might be tough steel, but it's so thin, so you've got to know what you're doing and use it in the right application. Straight away, I'd say this is not a set for the beginner. This is a set for your experienced single pin picker who needs very thin picks to get into those tight keyways. Anyway, so you get a load of picks. We'll have a look at some of those in a minute. We get some tension tools here. We get to about, I think it's 5 pry bars of different thicknesses. We'll look at those in a minute. And we also get some, and thankfully not twisted, some just nicely bent bottom of the keyway tools. Almost lost for words there. So yeah, let me get out some of these picks, our hooks, and we'll see what they are, and then we'll maybe do a bit of a demo and show the type of lock which you might want to use these thin picks on. So I have all of the hooks here, and they have all sorts of different names. Please go see the website. I'll leave a link below for the different names of each one of these hooks. There's so many of them, but what I wanted to show you is that they, and I haven't probably done it perfectly, but they really do range in sort of the depth of hook and also the sort of angle of curvature of that hook. I tried to show sort of graded, one from the most shallow to the most steep here. Like I said, I probably haven't got it perfect, but hopefully you can see what I was trying to aim to do. Before I carry on and talk about some of these hooks, then I want to just talk about the case. I've not seen this case from Lock Tools before. It seems to be made out of a heavy nylon with this edging, or is it beading? It's really nicely and very heavily stitched. It's got a firm, I don't know if I can, sort of backing to it. And that Velcro holds it in, or hook and eye strip, or whatever we're supposed to be calling it, holds it in very well. It's got a sort of rubberized backing, so I think that it's got some moisture resistance there as well. It's actually a pretty solid case, and it's got a sort of fold here, which means that it folds over neatly, almost like a book spine, which I really appreciate. The only thing I would say about the case, as much as I do like it, is there isn't much play in the pockets, so it does suit these nice flat sandwich handle picks. But if you've got some really thick things like custom handles to put in here, it just may be a bit more awkward to fit them in there and then something behind it. But yeah, for the actual set as it comes in, it's a really nice and very solid case. Really like it. Let's go and have a look at these tension tools as well. So we have these top of the keyway pry bars. Obviously there's the short end and the long end of each of these, and I think that these are, yeah, so relatively recently, or probably in the last year or so, I can't quite remember, Lock Tools has started adding some etching to these so you can better see the thicknesses. So you've got 1mm, 1.2, and should be a 0.8 there. Yep, but you've also got a very heavy 2mm pry bar, and then something in between which is a 1.5. So you've got a real range of thicknesses here. Looking at the bottom of the keyway tools, we've got 2 tapered ones, a smaller one and a larger one. Essentially what you do is you push these into the bottom of the keyway until they sort of stop naturally, and provides a nice hold. The downside of tapered ones is sometimes you end up with quite a lot of the tool extending outside of the keyway sometimes, depending on the type of lock, but it's usually pretty good. And then a nice thick, I think it's a 3mm wide one as well. So altogether, a lot of tensioning options. So now let's just look at some of these lockpicks. I think the first thing to ask is why? Why would I need a lockpick which is, 15 thousandths of an inch, 0.4mm? That is very thin. Most lockpicks are somewhere around 25 thousandths of an inch through to maybe 18 thousandths of an inch, something like that. Somewhere in that 0.5 to 0.7-ish millimeters in thickness, and it makes a big difference. Well, the reason is that some keyways are just very hard to navigate unless you have a hook that is thin enough. Here's an example of a very tight, high security keyway, and it looks paracentric, but if I put this 15 thousandth hook down there, you can see, look, I can bypass all that scary warding. If it was any thicker than that, there wouldn't be any room at all. I couldn't pick up through the middle of that warding. Otherwise, you can just see how tight that keyway is compared to, I don't know, let's get another look like this, something like this. You can see that difference of what tools would you really be able to put into which lock. So in answer to why you would need lockpicks which are this thin, is sometimes you'll just come across locks where a thin hook is really the only answer. And I still say, for the most part, you should use the thickest material in a lockpick as you can in a keyway, but sometimes that thickest material is still very, very thin. Downside is that you really need to know what you're doing. You have to be more subtle, you have to use less force, you have to use more feel. You can't just bully the pins, because you will damage these tools, and they're good quality tools. You don't want to damage these. So yeah, it's not a beginner's set, but for those experienced, skilled lock pickers who are used to a range of high security locks, this might be a set which will just fill that gap that you don't have in terms of range of hook sizes and that really, really thin profile. Right, let's do a demonstration. I'll just try to find some locks and pick them, some with tight keyway, some without. It doesn't really matter. I just want to have a go with the tools really. So first up is just a padlock with an American lock style keyway. It's not paracentric, and it means that you can get a thin hook up between the two sides of the keyway warding here, and 15 thousandths, we shouldn't have a problem with this flat topped short hook. So just going to pop some tension in. 6-pin lock, this one. Got some nice security pins in, so just going to check 6, nothing. 5, little click. Nothing on 4, 3, 2. Anything on 1 yet? A little click on 1. Okay, so 6, nothing. 5, 4, nice click. 3, 2, and now 1's binding. I had to pick that quite high, so nothing on 6 again. 5, click on 4, another click on 4, and we're open. There we go. Next up, I want to just pick this little corbin. I find this one quite a tricky little lock, even if it's only 5 pins, because of the extreme bitting, plus that keyway is paracentric, but we can sort of get our way up through that keyway using one of these 15 thousandths medium hooks. You can just see that I can see that just get up through that warding just. It's a bit tight, even 15 thousandths, but we can pick from the bottom of the keyway on this one. So yeah, very tricky lock, very spooly, tight keyway. Going to stick that top of the keyway tension in here like that. Get that medium hook, I'd say, and just, I like to, with this, rake through until I feel that I've got a pin which is binding, and I think it's Good. Yeah, pin 2 here now. Nice click and a little core movement. Okay, pin 4's binding. Little click and some counter rotation. Pin 3, counter rotation again. Pin, so just going to go through this. Pin 1, counter rotation. Pin 2 feels okay. Pin 3 now into a really deep falset. It's going to go through, see where I haven't picked a pin, so we're feels like we're almost there. 4, 3 again. There we go, got it. So who's left? Pin 4. Oh, have we overset that? No, we're okay still. Just check. Pin 4 now, counter rotation, and we're open. There we go. Tough little lock that. I fancy something a little less tricky, so I'm going to go with this really nice brass padlock. Loads of spools in this. Not particularly challenging, but again, a American lock style keyway, and I fancy using this deforest diamond. I rarely use them, and I don't know why, because they are really good at this sort of keyway and this sort of lock. You can see me just going through this pretty rapidly, actually, just trying to find those binding pins. Obviously, where I feel that counter rotation, I'm just pressing up. Lots of good feedback on this lock, that's why I really like picking it. All those spools really kick in, and we have an open already. Look at that. So there we are. I really hope you enjoyed that demo. It's only a small amount of locks, just to show some keyways where using thinner, often deeper hooks can be really beneficial. I didn't do anything particularly high security for time reasons, but I'm pretty sure you can see that in capable hands these would be extremely capable lock picks. So I'd like to finish this video off. Well, I like to do sort of pros, some cons, and maybe things I'd like to see in the future. Starting with the pros then. Let's start on the positive. The finish on these hooks is excellent. Very nice finish, very smooth, well tumbled on the shank and the handles as well. Talking about the handles, I personally really like the thin sandwich. Some people don't like sandwiched handles. I personally like these ones because they're a little bit taller, and with these sort of cutouts or grooves, I find I get really nice comfortable grip on the tip of the handle here. Another positive, especially if you've got medium to large hands, you can see that these are 10 centimeters or just under 4 inches in length. That is somewhere around half an inch, 2 centimeters longer than some other brands. And if you've got, I don't have particularly massive hands, but you can see here that even with those extra couple of centimeters, it just fits in my hand really, really nicely. And if you have large hands and you want a longer handle, then actually Law Lock Tools do offer a range of different styles, all of which have a bit longer handle. That's always very good. Another thing to notice about the handles is this is a full tang lock pick, so the picket's material itself goes all the way through the center. Now clearly that will make these a little bit more expensive to make, but it provides really good feedback even if the thickness of the picks is thin like this, the 0.4 15,000 of an inch picks. This is I think a really good way to deal with extra thin picks, is to have that full tang going through something solid so you can get all that nice feedback. So, you know, lots of good pros in terms of the sort of build and size, etc. of the picks. Another good pro is, you know, we don't really need rakes at this thickness. Not really. Maybe you could say that something like throwing in a triple peak would have been all right. But what's nice to see, especially for hobbyists who really like SPP, is a full range of different picks and depths. There's not many locks you're not going to get, you know, you're not going to be able to attack using these hooks. You've got a huge range here, as you can see, and that's so nice and refreshing to see, where you don't have like a half and half mix of you know, hooks and rakes. Some people don't want that, and it's nice to have this option. Just thinking other pros. Yeah, the pry bars are really nice. I quite like these Boston Keyway tools as well. I was thinking, should the kit have more of these in? I'm thinking, well, really, if you're going to be buying a 15 thousandths 0.4mm set, clearly you're an experienced picker and you're probably going to have loads of tension tools already, but these will get you into a lot of locks. Cons. Not many. I know it's only very subtle, but it's worth pointing out there's a little bit of, is it spalling or something on one of these hooks. I mean, it's clearly not common, but I just wanted to point it out. It's on there. Any other cons? I suppose some of the pros could be cons. If you don't like sandwich handles, that could be a con for you. Or you just might not like the design. I personally do, but I guess it is subjective. The only other thing I would say is a couple of these profiles are functionally very similar. I think it's these two in particular, which when you line them up are very, very similar in terms of their height and shape. They're subtle, but there's a couple of hooks in here which by and large fill that same space. It's not a big deal, but when you actually look at the kit, it's a little bit more noticeable. Anything else? Not really. That's pretty much all the cons I can think of. In terms of what I might want to see in this kit which isn't in there, I'm not going to say rake really, because you can always buy a rake set if you like rakes. It's nice to have an SPP set like this. It's I think it just needs, and I know it sounds strange, but one extra deep hook. I'm just trying to find the sort of deepest non-deforest hook, and it's possibly this one or this one. Some are quite similar, and don't get me wrong, these are relatively deep hooks, but I could do with one which is just a little bit deeper in this set. So yeah, other than that, I can't think of anything else I'd really like to see on this. So yeah, that's basically my conclusion. So the final thing to talk about is the price. Now, this isn't the absolute cheapest lockpick set. It is 24 pieces, and it comes with a case. Currently, it's on sale, the Ronin Pro set at £145. This is a premium lockpick set, and it does have a higher price because of that. Some of the price, of course, will be made up by the fact that you do have full tang sandwiched handles in 301 high yield stainless steel, and of course the range of tools you see before you. So again, clearly this is a premium set designed for an experienced lockpicker. It's not, I'd say, recommended for your beginner lockpicker. This is a very specific set for a very specific use, for a specific subset of lockpickers, I'd say. But if this is what you're looking for, then clearly you can see that there's a lot here on offer for that price. Anyway, let me know what you think. Have you used Law Lock tools before? Are you interested in them? Have you had any sets? What do you think? Do you agree with me about the steel? Do you like these designs? Anything you want to say about this set, good or bad, stick it in the comments below. I read all the comments, reply to as many as I can. If you like content like this, leave me a like, and if you really like it, please consider subscribing because it really helps my channel out. And of course, I'll see you all next time.